Don't believe the lie. Reproductive rights, it's not about the protection of a woman's body whatsoever because there's something growing inside of the woman's body. And what is that? It's another body. And it is a dog whistle. And it is highlighted in the Democratic Party, as we saw in the recent Democratic Party's convention here in Chicago, where they had promoted free abortions. They had the trailer there, the trucks, and they had all kind of phalluses and everything that led you to know where the fight is and the issues are. Reproductive rights is a whistle that is blown that is becoming less and less about if the dogs can hear it or not. Many of us now are gaining a keen sense of hearing. And now we're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. This is Sirwalterj Unplugged. Hello, everybody. This is Sirwalterj. I am trying to unload the content of this show tonight, depending on what time you're watching it, because it is a very controversial topic on abortion. I've done a show on eugenics, and I think many of you who've been with me for over the 10 years know my talking point and my belief system on abortion and the origins of it and how the names were changed so as to not offend. And here we get Planned Parenthood, which came out of a series of names that led you to know without a shadow of a doubt it was about the killing of babies. I have some books here that would interest you, especially you who are African Americans. Reverend Augustus Corbett, this book here, Education, Injustice, How Public Schools Fail African American Males. All right, this is the second edition. It's really a good book. But this one here, Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu, right? Some of you may know about him and maybe not. He's been around a long time, countering the conspiracy to destroy black boys, right? These have a unifying effect in my talking points here. This book recently came out. This is the 25th edition, anniversary edition. George Grant wrote this book here. This is the life of Margaret Sanger, Killer Angel. It's the title of it. You can go and get it. A biography of Planned Parenthood's Margaret Sanger. It is quite gripping. Last and certainly not least, it is a party favorite among African Americans, the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. And if you go on my patreon.com and type in Willie Lynch, you will hear me in a live recording read from the entire letter. Just go to patreon.com, the Sirwalterj Jones Show, and type in Willie Lynch, and you'll hear me read it with music behind it. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that is installed correctly, if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. And it goes on. And the method worked. And guess what? The method is still working today. And the slave owner used one man to get the message across to keep the enslaved further. That was the preacher, the clergy, the reverend doctor, the pastor, now the apostle and the prophet, and on and on. This person is used in our community, has always been used by the government to keep us in line. And to see many of the pastors today promote this so-called reproductive rights and this taking words and phrases and putting different meanings to them is what the pastors are doing, and the people are falling forward, hook, line, and sinker. So they are saying that they are pro-life. Then some are saying we're pro-choice, and it can get confusing because people are saying, I'm pro-life, but I'm pro-choice. And I look at that as being a body with no head. It's a monster. It is impossible even to be half pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. I've never seen a half pregnant woman. Abortion is a sin. And it doesn't matter whether you did it before, you thought about doing it, or what have you. It's still a sin, regardless. And I remember when my daughter was pregnant and how she had come to a conclusion that she was going to abort the baby and she wasn't going to tell me, and how it went through me because I was feeling like I was left out of the decision. Well, that's her body. She can do what she wants to, and that's between her and her God and her man. But even though it's between her God, and her man, it's still a sin. And when people do things, they'll say, don't judge me. And we say, leave them alone. We are part of the problem when we're silent until somebody does something against us. And then we go after other people who saw this going on and never reported it to us. You see, it's okay when a person says, leave me alone, it's not your business, and it's not hurting you. Then you'll agree and say, let them do what they do. It's their body, it's their choice, until it happens to you. And you're falling off a cliff and all these people are walking by and they're ignoring you. And you're like, how can people be so cruel? Well, that's how I look at some of you who feel that a woman has a right to kill a life that is growing inside of her. And as you read in Genesis chapter 9, a life for a life. That doesn't sound fair, right? I know it doesn't. But God hasn't changed his mind even on corporal punishment. Corporal, right? Punishment. What's the corporal punishment? Basically, the gas chamber or the guillotine, the hanging, or the needle, whatever, lethal injection. He didn't change his mind that if a person kills a person willingly, God is saying, how dare you? Who gave you the permission to take the life that I've given? So now you must lose your life. And then what he did was he created this Mosaic law, and then he put it in the law as well. Jesus came on the scene, and now you all are trying to live by grace by saying God gave us liberty. We can do whatever we want to. Still, there are things that God has not changed. So when my daughter told me this, I was disheartened, and I'm glad she told me, and I hugged her and thanked her for telling me, and then I talked her out of it. I asked her, please not do this because you are robbing me of my grandchild. It doesn't matter how it happened, why it happened. You all were careless in your sin. Doesn't matter. The baby is now growing, and let it grow. It's yours. It's going to be his, and it's going to be mine, and we're going to love the child until we die. And she thanked me, and she had my children. You understand? That's how it works. Honesty is the great system. Even if you are voting Republican, I'm not fooled. I know for a fact that there are many on that side who rally and are against abortion, yet they are doing it themselves. I do know this for a fact. So when we rally around one party because of something we stand on so heavy, in many cases, I believe that a lot of us are hypocrites because there were a whole lot of back alley abortions happening among those who were in the South, those who were white, and those who were conservatives, those who were Republicans, the ones who are standing in front of the Planned Parenthood places, forbidding women to go in there, were some of the ones caught coming out the back door with a successful abortion. So it doesn't matter which party. One party is rallying so that you won't do it. But as soon as that baby is born, the baby is ignored. So the hype over the reproductive rights, and that's the biggest point of the Democratic Party, and many other things are ignored because that is the rally for emotion. And the Democratic Party, the strength of her is black women.
Mrs. Margaret Slee, president of America's Planned Parenthood Federation, maintains that European women should stop having babies for the next 10 years.
But Mrs. Slee, in this country, having babies is the only thing left which is both unrationed and untaxed. Do you think we really ought to stop?
Well, I suppose a subject like that is really so personal that it's entirely up to the parents to decide. But from my view, I believe that there should be no more babies.
The term eugenics is basically a set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of a human population. Historically, by excluding people and groups judged to be inferior and promoting those judged to be superior. There have been various applications of eugenics, perhaps the most famous being the Germans before and during World War II, which was condemned by the Nuremberg war crimes trials. But the Germans did not invent eugenics. In fact, they were inspired by the founder of the taxpayer-funded Planned Parenthood. The truth behind the genesis of that organization and its founder are much darker than most Americans realize. Who was the real Margaret Sanger? Why was she heralded by the Third Reich as the greatest socialist in America? Why do modern Democrats who claim to support the African American population justify presenting her as a cultural icon?
The Mike Wallace Interview.
In the eyes of some, Margaret Sanger has been a heroine. In the eyes of others, she's been a destructive force.
In her own words, Sanger pushed for a society that limited births to those she deemed fit to have children.
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born.
Good morning. I didn't realize I was going to be first, but it doesn't bother me at all. I love it. I am first going to have to try to stay within this minute time, but I'm first speaking to you as the president of the Black Catholics United Against Abortion, which was initiated because we were endeavoring to bring more black Catholics into the pro-life movement. We do believe that more than anything else, abortion is racism. It is a way of pruning, if you will, the black population. When you consider the number of black men in jail on drugs, and now with AIDS, if you start in the womb where they have been for 10 years, it will be a very good job by the year 2000, the black male will be not only an endangered species, but almost extinct. And so that you will have more black males in this country 50 and over. That is one of the reasons we do believe that abortion was initiated in this country. In 1973, shortly after the civil rights struggle, when there were more benefits for the black people, all of a sudden we were given this free thing from the Society of America, abortion. 78% of your free abortion clinics were placed in black and urban areas for the purpose of something free of charge from a racist society. As to put it in the words of one pro-abortionist, we don't need so many Negroes anymore. There's no more cotton to pick. So with these feelings about black people, this was one way of doing it as a social benefit if you will. We're here to help you. Black women, and let it be stated, black women never demonstrated, demanded, or even requested the right to an abortion. We've been asking for the right to decent housing, the right to education, in fact, the right to health care. And all we've been given free of charge is the right to kill our unborn child. We are still struggling for equal opportunity. If a black woman walks into a hospital and says she is in need of some sort of medical care, she would be turned away unless she has Medicaid or Blue Cross or or Medicare. But if she asks for an abortion, there are no questions. We will be glad to kill the baby in your womb. It is demeaning to the black woman because when you wanted us, in other words, when we were on the plantation, you snatched the newborn baby from my arms and sold it into slavery. Today, you cut it out of the womb and throw it in the garbage or use it for human experimentation. I will now just briefly finish up here, if I will, with my one thing. Undoubtedly, the death of black Americans by alcohol, drugs, crime, and suicide is not sufficient for pruning the black American population. Now they are attacked in the womb. Yesterday, as I said, they snatched those babies from our arms and sold them into slavery. Today, you cut them out of the womb and throw them in the garbage. Let it be known that over 80% of black Americans are against abortion on demand. Let it be known that black women never requested, demanded, nor demonstrated for abortion. Yes, some black legislators believe that if white women have it, black women want it. They don't know black women. We still respect God and God's given life. We praise God for Congressman Floyd Flake, the only Democrat from New York in the Congressional Black Caucus who remains true to his God and true to his African heritage. It is our African heritage that we have never killed life given by God. Unlike Jesse Jackson, Congressman Flake stands by his pro-life position that life begins at conception. I briefly also would like to say on behalf, I'm only a member of Irma Clarity Clavin, who is the author of Abortion, Poverty, and Genocide, that she says here, anyone who takes a firm stance against abortion pricks the conscience of accusers because it forces them to face up to the basic individual commitment to human life. Abortion is murder and genocidal to the entire human race. It has corrupted America, and that it has also caused the death of many doctors, nurses, and other health personnel who have been unable to live with the murders that they have committed. Abortion is inhumane, sadistic, and the cruelest form of child abuse. She says abortion is a male cop-out, which degrades an expected mother. Thank you.
And thank you. That was Dr. Dolores Bernadette Greer. She's a pro-life woman, and as you can tell by the way she spoke on behalf of black women, that is not the reality today. This obviously is a film that was shot many years ago. Looks like it was either early 80s or late 70s. And it is so unfortunate that it worked. Those part of the Planned Parenthood and the whole system against having black babies to be born was strong enough than us who was against it, and we gave into it because they gave out free lollipops, free this and free that. And you heard us say that you walk into a hospital or a clinic or a medical center needing some Medicare, and because you don't have the proper insurance or what have you, you get turned away, although legally they can't turn you away. But you won't get the treatment that you would typically get if you have the right insurance or if you got a lot of cash, then they come on in. And so typically many people can't afford medical insurance is high. But if you want an abortion, it is free of charge in many cases. And if you went to the DNC, you would have gotten it for free. You would have went in there and came out taken care of. It is unfortunate that we fight over this thing, and this is where I want to end this. We're fighting over something that used to be something that none of us really fought over. We just came to a conclusion that it was a sin to do it publicly. We came to that conclusion, and those who had babies out of wedlock did it privately, back alley abortions, and shh, be quiet. But now we're in your face telling you we did it, we enjoyed it, and we'll do it again. That's what they're saying. That's what that party's saying. Listen, do it. This is your rights. And so we fell for it. We've become complacent. We've become lazy. And it is the way of life. The way of a transgressor is hard. So, listen. Let's talk about it in the comments section. Are you pro-life or are you pro-choice? Put it in the comment section and then tell me why. Right? Are you pro-life or are you pro-choice? Put it in the comment section. Let's talk about it, and then I can spin a part 2 on this. Read your comments, and let's see if we can discuss it. Meanwhile, if you disagree with me, come sit on the couch and let's talk. All right, y'all. I love you. Sirwalterj Unplugged.